Hello and welcome to AutoSave. I'm Nick Andrade with my co-host Camille Salazar-Hadaway. And on this episode, we continue our story and our dive into God of War PS4. Cam, what's going on?
Kratos. Sorry, I just had to. I haven't done it in a while.
You did it last episode.
And it's been a while for me.
You're like, whenever you say, like, because we went to a musical. We went to the Final Fantasy Orchestra.
We went to a Final Fantasy 7 or orchestra musical. That would be hilarious, though. Imagine a Final Fantasy 7 remake musical.
I think we could write a pretty good one.
Just brooding.
Yes.
The whole time.
I think we could definitely put our brains together. I think we're both creative minds. We could, come up with some great story.
Oh, it would be gold. It would be gold. If Square Enix wants to pay us for that, that's when we'll do it. But until then, y'all just have to wait.
Well, I hope Square is listening to us because I would love to make a musical. But we went there and they had obviously the opera singers, right? Every time you do that, I picture you as one of the opera singers because you do it very lightly. You're like, Kratos. And I just feel like you'd either get kicked out of the orchestra.
They'd be like, you're not committed enough for this.
Yes, we need you to go in and use your diaphragm.
I don't know. That's my take on it's like first Kratos, do, but then it's like Sephiroth. They're exactly the same. I'm sorry.
It's okay. It just reminds me of that every time. But anyway, God of War. Sorry to get off track, but I like to do that at the start of the show. Last week, we had a very interesting episode, including some truth-telling.
Boy, have you nothing to say?
Can I turn into an animal?
Can you turn into an animal? No, I do not think so.
I'm a god. Mother knew? She was a god too?
No, she was mortal, but she knew my true nature.
I'm a god. Why did you wait so long to tell me?
I had hoped to spare you. Being a god, it can be a lifetime of anguish and tragedy. That is the curse.
And so, yes, Kratos finally told Atreus the truth about being a god, and that Atreus is a god as well. Although we found out another tidbit that Faye, Kratos' wife and the mom of Atreus, was immortal, even though Cam, you have a suspicion that it's really weird that she was immortal, but she was able to get by relatively quickly all around Midgar, and she was a fierce warrior. Seems a little bit too iffy here.
Yeah, a little sus. It's like Xena, warrior princess, when everyone's like, "Oh, Xena's just like a person." No, she's more than that.
Do you remember the sidekick of Xena? Her name?
Gabriella?
Yeah.
Gabriella.
Good job. I love that show. Do you think, Gab, that Kratos was right or wrong to tell Atreus the truth? Do you think he was hesitant for a reason? Obviously, because he's dealt with so many gods in the past. He's afraid of what Atreus is going to think or do when he becomes a god. Do you think he was right in holding off so long?
No, because there were so many opportunities. I think Kratos could have told Atreus the truth, and I'm not even going to call that the truth. It's like the half truth, because it's like, hey, yeah, you're a god, I'm a god, we be godding it up, but I'm not going to tell you that I went on like a massacre on Mount Olympus and killed all the Greek gods. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's telling the truth, but he's not. So I feel like there's still more growth that Kratos has to do. And I don't know. I feel like the fact that he didn't tell Atreus the full truth, it doesn't have that. It will make Atreus more, I don't know, cocky, I guess, instead of staying grounded, because we saw like his initial reaction. It seemed like he was grounded, but then he makes like comments where it's like now he's really trying to figure out what does being a god mean, and like maybe it will go to his head a little bit. So I feel like if Kratos just backed it up with like, oh yeah, even being a god, like you can make horrible mistakes and like go on a mass killing spree and like have to suffer with that memory your whole life, like just kind of darken the news a bit as a warning to Atreus.
I think that's the kind of theme that we're going to be looking for in this episode, is how Atreus deals with now the information of being a god. Will he be more cocky? Will he stay more grounded? We've kind of seen a little bit of both so far, but I think we're going to dive into it more this episode. My question of the day, I just deleted on our outline because I didn't want to ask you to name as many mythical creatures as you can in 60 seconds.
Oh, geez.
And I thought that's a little bit too hard because I don't want to do that either.
The only thing I could think of is like a Gryffindor. And is that even a mythical creature? Or is that just from Harry Potter? Or Griffith? What was it called? Is it a Gryffindor, the thing with the wings and the... I swear this is a mythical creature. Maybe I'm wrong.
Are you talking about like the hippogriff? Is it the lion and the eagle combined?
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a...
So it's not a Gryffindor. Okay. That's a...
Yeah, no, that's fine. But so, okay, I'm thinking of a question. I'm thinking on a question on the fly, and let's go back to last episode where we saw the Greek pots that Kratos found. If you had to paint one of a mythological story, what would it be? Because I'll tell you mine right off the bat. Hercules with like flexing, and then a bunch of like goddesses like going, oh Hercules, you're so handsome. That's what I would pick.
Oh my gosh, I had to watch Nick actually mimic that out. That's hilarious. Ooh, that's a really good question. Firstly, I don't think if I were to draw, like make art on pottery, it would turn out good. So no one would probably recognize my story. But I think I would... Does Jack and the Beanstalk count as like a mythical?
Yeah, you know what?
Story?
I'll give you Jack and the Beanstalk.
Okay, I'm going classic Jack and the Beanstalk because you're not supposed to buy beans off strangers. That's the moral of that story.
I love how you were laughing about your answer before you said it. You're like giggling to yourself. But yeah, I will take Jack and the Beanstalk. I think that's a great one to do. Again, if you haven't gone to a museum and seen some of these pots, they're really pretty. Let's move on though to our actual episode here. We're doing chapters 11 and 12, Return to the Summit and Escape from Helheim. So Escape from Helheim seems like some ish is about to go down. So I'm excited to dive in. And after the break, we'll get into it on AutoSave. Welcome back to AutoSave, and it's now back up the mountain so we can get to the gate where we first met Mimir and head to the gate of Jotunheim and finally lay Faye's ashes to rest, which is what we've been waiting to do for so long.
I thought it was like a walk to the corner store. We're like on a 8-hour mission right now. I thought, this would just be like, all right, we're going to take 15 minutes to spread these ashes, then go home for dinner.
As long as it takes, half the time it took us to get to the mountain last time, I'll be extremely satisfied. But we start with Atreus wanting to tell Sindri that he's a god. So already, Kratos obviously says no, and then something really weird happens.
Oh, I can tell you a thing or two about family matters.
Let me guess. Your brother isn't as talented as you, and his work is junk.
Those things are accurate. Your point?
It's all you ever talk about, over and over. Do something about it or shut up already.
I see.
Yeah! We're sick of hearing about little people's little problems!
All right. That hurt a little. Let's have a look at your gear then.
Oh, here we go, Cam. This is going to be the start of Atreus being a complete doo-doo head. He's getting mad. He loves Sindri, by the way, and Brock, and he gets mad at him all of a sudden. It looks like him being a god. He says, I don't want to deal with your little problems. So clearly, he's already having a god complex.
I know. It's like, this is the glimpse of like Thor, Odin, all of the bad guys, what goes through their mind. They're like, oh, all these problems are beneath us. They're peasants. They're mere mortals. It's like Atreus backup. You didn't even know you were
Exactly.
a god. Okay, you only found out like 5 minutes ago.
Same thing too is like I've been in the defense of Atreus this whole game so far, but I just knew that a bratty moment was going to, happen.
Yeah, I think this is a point as well for, bad son. What are we calling this?
Oh,
We have a
yes.
table that we forgot about.
Yes, we did. We haven't tabled that in a while. That is the 5th bad son point for Atreus. I think that might be a theme throughout this episode. One thing that I wanted to mention, though, a thunderstorm breaks out as soon as Atreus gets angry. Am I overthinking this at this moment where I'm thinking, is he creating the power of the weather?
Maybe. I just thought it was, a thunderstorm. It was just like, hey, I'm here rumbling.
All right. Okay.
But maybe it is. Maybe Thor is listening in.
Oh, God.
And Thor's like, oh no, he knows I'm angry. Cue thunderstorm.
We've yet to see Odin or Thor, so I've been waiting to see if they're going to pop up at all. Because we always hear whispers about them, but we actually never see them. But guess what? We go up the mountain, and we go through the first door, and we see somebody that maybe is related to Odin and Thor.
He is beaten. Not worth killing.
He should pay for what he said about Mother.
I said no.
But we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
That's what I said to your mother right before I gave it to her.
What are you doing?
This is a much better knife than Mother's.
You killed against my wishes. You lost control.
Haven't you been teaching me to kill?
I've been teaching you to survive. We are gods, boy. And that makes us a target. From now until the end of days, you are marked. So I teach you to kill, yes, but in defense of yourself. Never as an indulgence.
Did you see that coming? Because I sure didn't.
Psycho Kid, hello. Like, literally, Atreus just found out he was a god, and he was wondering if he could, transform into an animal, right?
Yeah.
Like, that was such an innocent thought of, like, a reaction to finding out you're a god, to, like, oh, now I'm going to kill everything because it doesn't matter because I'm a god. I mean, Modi kind of did have it coming. Like, I get that. Modi's talking about Faye. It must hurt Atreus, but I think the weirdest part of this scene was that Atreus doesn't seem like he is actually acting based on emotion. Like, he's not, I don't know about you, how you felt with this, but like, we've seen Atreus really act out, get frustrated, and like have a burst of emotions. I didn't get that from this scene. Like, it was very much like, no, I decided I'm going to kill you. No matter what you said. Yeah, you talked about my mom. I'm kind of over it. Like, he didn't seem really angry that he mentioned Faye. Like, Atreus, I don't know. This is weird. Weird for me.
And the same thing too, like I remember the last times he's killed things, he's looked at his hands and like scared or already regretting what he's doing and he knows that's wrong. But this time he like murders Modi. First of all, jabs a knife right in his neck, right in front of him, which is obviously close range. And then it's kind of just like, oh yeah, Mother's knife's really cool. Like is just like no emotion whatsoever. So that's what scares me more. Is that what kind of Atreus are we seeing at this point where he now that he's a god, he almost thinks that he's completely untouchable, which is probably not a good thing.
Yeah.
And Kratos gives him great advice, right?
He gives him great advice. A good point for Kratos. Great parenting moment. But Kratos is giving him good advice. I thought there would have been a lot more back and forth between Kratos and Atreus in this moment because we usually see them bicker and like not agree on things. Like Atreus, it would totally be in character for him to be like, no, like he deserves what he said. Like you're going to have him talk to mom about this and like more back and forth between the two of them before Atreus got to killing Modi, who was already beaten down by Thor. So this is just like, this shocked me a lot. I was really taken back by this moment. I'm like, yo, who is this kid? Like, Atreus grew up real quick.
The problem too is like Atreus even confronts Kratos and is like, well, how do you know that there's consequences to killing gods? How many gods have you killed? And Kratos, again, he does not want to divulge his full truth of who he is, but that is now the problem in terms of teaching Atreus lessons. He can't tell him why because he doesn't want to. So it's causing this even more problem because like Atreus is being clouded by this power, and Kratos really can't tell him why, that maybe he should simmer down a bit, which is probably his own fault.
So bad parenting moment for Kratos as well. Like, he's being a good parent, trying to tell the truth, but he's also not recognizing that he has the power in like the truth, the full truth, to help Atreus in this moment.
After we fight some more enemies, Atreus confronts a frost ancient. Kratos basically says, don't wake him up. And then Atreus is like, whatever, we're gods. We'll do what we want. So we have to fight that. And
Thanks,
then we continue
Atreus.
on.
Gosh.
Yeah, I know, right? He's just being a complete brat, which is really,
He's a brat.
really annoying. We fight off some more Hellwalkers, come through those dimension holes, whatever they are, I'm not really sure. But we get back to the peak and gate of Jotunheim. I'm excited because we only had to go through the summit very quickly. We didn't have to go through all the way. And it was really cool too, because you can also unlock a bunch of different things that you never could before with your new weapons, some more chests, whatever, you can do that. But like I said, we get to the peak and we see someone a little familiar.
No! You broke the gate! That was our only way to Jotunheim!
Stupid son of a bitch!
Get out of here, boy.
Yes, by all means, Junior, run away. Let Daddy do all the heavy lifting for you.
Let go!
Calm down, boy. You are not ready for this.
I am ready!
And here I thought my family was fucked up. Oh, your father is right, boy. You are far from ready. Now, would you be so kind as to hold this for me? Thank you.
Atreus!
So Baldur is finally back, and my God, what a cutscene. I was on the edge of my seat with this.
Yeah, this was so good. But where the heck did Baldur come from? Like, did he fall from the sky? Like, where has he been this whole time?
I'm trying to think too, like Mimir is on the obviously looking backwards. So he is telling a story and then he says, brother, look out. So clearly he just came out of literal nowhere.
Yeah, it was wild, wild, wild. But Atreus really fudged this. You know, like that meme, this is when he found out he effed up. Atreus really effed this situation up. Like, this fight could have gone completely differently, where I'm not fighting a dragon or fighting on a dragon, right? Yeah. If Atreus just listened to Kratos, just listen to him, and I feel like Kratos would have been able to handle his own here. Shooting
your own dad with an arrow because he's trying to protect you? Come on, Atreus. And then again, like, Baldur's like, oh, I thought my family's bad. Oh my God. Oh, even too, like, my favorite part is Mimir. He's like, Baldur, take me instead. And he just like punches the head and is like, shut up.
I wasn't expecting this moment to happen. Because, like, usually you see a bridge, you cross the bridge first and then something happens,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So that's what I thought would have happened. I wasn't expecting something to happen like right like that. And Baldur is like back with a vengeance. I love how brutal this fight is. And like, he just, even though Trace is a kid, he's like, I'm just gonna stab this kid. Like, there's no remorse on Baldur's side.
Oh yeah, he's like, hold this for me. He did say though, all this time I thought I needed you when talking to Kratos. He's like, but I can use Atreus. He's the brains of the operation. But so does he need him in
what
some
does he
way?
mean?
What does he mean by that?
I don't know what that means, because it's like, The only thing I can think of is like, you know how we've been talking about how Atreus is able to read all this ancient language?
Yeah.
But wouldn't Baldur be able to do the same? Like, I don't know.
So are you saying like he's using Atreus for his ancient knowledge?
To access something? I don't know.
I mean, Baldur doesn't look like the sharpest tool in the shed, though, so maybe he doesn't know the language.
Yeah, maybe he doesn't. But like, I didn't get that as well. And like, I thought it was just like Odin was after Kratos because of what he did on Mount Olympus to the Greek gods, and he's scared. So why would he need him or Atreus to do anything? So weird.
It reminded me too, because you brought up Mount Olympus, like what Kratos did in the last God of War games. And this time, the only thing he's trying to do is to lay his wife's ashes to rest. And people keep bothering this guy. That's all he wants to do. And so I don't blame him for what he does, because again, people are getting into his way and it's not the other way around. The dragon fight, again, was incredible. I was getting chills through that. And then on top of that, I thought, okay, what's going to happen is Atreus is going to be taken away and then you're going to have to find him again. That's what I thought the plot was going to be. But no, they fight at the Tree of Life, and then Kratos F's it up and he uses his Light of Alfheim and he puts it into the Tree of Life, and it switches them over and transport them to Helheim.
Which, I mean, that when you're fighting Baldur midair.
Yes. It's so badass.
That's such a cool.
Yes.
It's so cool. And Atreus is doing nothing.
Yeah, he's just
saying.
Crying.
Just saying.
I thought you were a god, Atreus. I thought you could do anything
I thought
you
were
wanted.
A good parenting moment from Kratos would have been for Kratos to be like, all right, you said you were a god, Atreus. Good luck. Good luck finding yourself out of this one. No, I'm kidding. That would be a bad parenting moment.
That's okay. Well, I mean, I think Kratos is, I think he earns a good parenting moment for saving Atreus from that situation. So I'm going to give him a point there, because Atreus is the one who, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, Kratos gets stabbed by a pillar of stone.
Yes.
And he's okay,
Yeah.
like right in the pancreas or something. Come on, man. I know you're a god, but you gotta at least.
Yeah, he's a god, but also when he came to this land, he became mortal.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's it for chapter 11, as we're dropped into Helheim with Atreus. We don't know where Baldur is, but it's on to chapter 12. And you would expect that Kratos is not very happy with Atreus.
You will listen to me and not speak a word. I am your father, and you, boy, are not yourself. You are too quick to temper. You are rash, insubordinate, and out of control. This will not stand. You will honor your mother and abandon this path you have chosen. It is not too late. This discussion is far from over. We are here because of you, boy. Never forget that.
Ouch. Some pretty stern words from Kratos here, making sure that Atreus knows that the reason they're back in Helheim is because of him. Cam, do you think that Kratos is afraid that Atreus is going to just end up like him?
Yes. And I think there's clear warning signs that
Yeah.
Atreus may, if he continues this path. Because at first I was like, okay, Kratos, calm down. It's not that serious. If you just tell him the truth, I'm pretty sure it won't go to his head. He seems like a leveled kid, good head on his shoulder, just wants to make you happy. But who knew the truth could hurt so much in ways that you didn't understand? I really thought that Atreus was just going to take this news and that would connect him closer to Kratos.
Right.
But it's actually dividing them further and further apart. And if they're not willing to listen to each other, because we know they have communication issues. So if Atreus isn't willing to listen to Kratos, then when hopefully Kratos tells Atreus the full truth, it still may not help him at that point, right? I think there's also a ticking, the clock's ticking on when the full truth is revealed, because it will get to a point where Atreus will not want to listen to Kratos no matter what, or think that that's Kratos' mistake, not his. He would be better. And I mean, the arrow in Kratos' shoulder should be enough to tell Kratos, like, okay, I should tell him now before he doesn't even want to hear what I have to say.
Well, I don't think he will because, again, I think he's really hesitant on his past. Also, just realized right now is a lot of this game you don't realize, but if you thought of them as, real life characters, a lot of what's going on is going on inside their head. They're not talking that much. They're probably overthinking, thinking about a lot of things. Whenever Atreus bursts out to say something, I think it's something that's boiled up in his head that he's been thinking about. And then Kratos is just, stone cold. So it just continues to stew in each other's heads. And it's probably not a good sign, especially since they both have bad tempers. Next up, Mimir says that we need to head back into Midgard, and the closest way we can is to get back to Tyr's temple. So we have to try to find a way out there. Mimir says that there's a boat that they can use, so that's where we're headed. We see some visions as well of Atreus killing Modi, and Atreus says it wasn't him, which is also kind of confusing. We'll get back to that maybe in a bit, but Mimir says that these visions are meant to torture the people in Helheim, because again, this is for bad people who go to literal hell. But as we're finding our way, we spot Baldur, who is dealing with his own vision of a woman.
Again, death has no power over you now. You would rather die?
And never feel again? Yes. I would rather die. Yes. Take it away, Mom.
I can't.
Please take it away.
It doesn't work like that. Trust me, in time, you will thank me. You will thank me.
Come on. What you did to me. What you did to me! Ah!
Freya is his mother. Why did you keep this from us, Head?
Would you believe it slipped my mind?
I would not.
I'm at a loss. I assure you have no reason to keep such a thing a secret.
There's the boat. We will speak more of this soon.
Did not trust her. I called it. I did not trust her.
So did you not trust her right off the bat? Or
Yeah.
So
right off the bat.
Right off the bat, you thought Freya cannot
Right
be
off the
trusted.
bat.
Okay. Because and we've talked about this before, but I trusted Freya, and I think that she was looking out until we had to get the heart of the gatekeeper in Helheim. Then I was starting to think a little suspicious, but this now is a huge can of worms that we cannot hide from.
She was judging. My thing is okay, she was judging Kratos for not telling Atreus the truth, okay? I understand her and Kratos aren't family, so maybe she wanted to hold back on that information, but obviously her relationship, and she did share a little bit about this, her relationship with her son isn't that great, but obviously she made huge mistakes with her son and still has not resolved them. He still hates her. And it's don't be so judgmental with Kratos.
Right.
She knows that Baldur is after Kratos, right? Does she?
Yeah, I would assume so. I'm not entirely sure, but I would assume so. But they also haven't talked in forever, so maybe she doesn't even.
Yeah. I don't know. And the fact that Mimir knew this as well, it's Mimir, I'm going to throw you off this cliff. If you weren't so valuable, I would have thrown you off this cliff.
We do find out, though, that Mimir has been bewitched by Freya and that he cannot tell them if Baldur has any weaknesses or about their relationship. So that is even more of a red flag. That Freya is the minute that she reanimated Mimir, she also put a hex on him to not divulge that information. Super sketch.
It's so sketch. And the thing is oh yeah, she's helping us. She's reanimating Mimir so he could help us, but she was just doing it so then we didn't get the full truth out there.
Yeah.
And why, if she hasn't spoken to her son for so long, or it's such a torn relationship and they're not seeing eye to eye, then why would you not want him to just die? Like, there's more to this story.
Well, yes. The way that Freya like told the story about her son, she very much still loves her son. And then we find out information through this vision that basically Freya, I guess, used a spell on Baldur to make him immortal, but he can't feel, taste, can't smell. Like, he has nothing. He has no senses. So he's miserable, and he hates his mom for it. And that there was a point where he wanted to kill her, but he didn't, and then calls himself a coward. But there's definitely layers here where then you see Freya must really love Baldur to put an immortal spell on him.
And he obviously still cares for her because he wasn't able to kill her. So like when he's like, he thought his family was messed up. I mean, yeah, his family's kind of messed up. It's messed up. But I would ask you the question, would you rather be reanimated but not be able to feel anything, like be immortal, not be able to feel, taste, have any of those sensations of life? Or would you just be like, no, I'm ready to go. That's it. That's not life.
That's such a hard question to ask because like we're so young that we don't even think about death or process death in that way. So it's like,
oh my God, I do all the time.
Oh, I do too.
I'm like one of those people that I'm like, what if I like get hit by a car? That's it.
Right.
That's
but I feel like that's a little different than like thinking, would you want to live forever?
I don't know. I think it's more comes down to, would you, like, I would want enough life so then I could fulfill my dreams, if that makes sense.
Oh,
if
that's
I
sweet.
fulfilled my dreams or was able to try different things I want to try in the world, I'm good. I think I'm good. So that car could come anytime after that.
We always see like the movies of like vampires or whatever. They're always miserable when they're immortal because they fall in love and then those people die and then they're sad and then forever. So
they're like the first 100 years of their vampire life's great.
Yes.
The second 100 year and onward, it's horrible.
Not so much. Yeah. We now find this boat actually, and we have to sail it close to Tyr's temple. However, there's some things that go in your way. We end up having to like get our sails burnt off that we have to somehow raise them up. And then there's immortal flames. I don't know. There's a lot going on in this one, but what did you think about this whole battle sequence? Because it's really fun and it's something a little different than what we've experienced so far.
Yeah, I just loved being on the boat because like everything in God of War, it's very much Norse and like that kind of look. I was waiting to be on boats and like have some battles on these boats. So,
and it's like super long. Like we have to face trolls, a bunch of hellwalkers, a bunch of different enemies, and then also dealing with
it's difficult too.
Yeah, dealing with these harpoons coming, keeping the immortal flames alight so that the boat can kind of like float and travel towards Tyr's temple.
Yep.
I had a lot of fun with this one. It was really cool. But in the whole mass scene of it all, we do hear a conversation from Kratos and Zeus. Zeus is here?
It is time, my son. Look around at what you have done.
Come on, we gotta go!
You saw.
There's no time, look! I have a plan! Jump!
I didn't realize how much of we saw Kratos just beat down on Zeus. Like Atreus is watching this whole thing go down in the vision. And Kratos he's completely like, he just doesn't even know what to do. Like this, it seems like his past haunts him in a way that like freezes him up completely.
Yeah, it does. Like he is definitely not that person anymore, at least doesn't want to be that person, because you see how he reacts whenever the past revisits him. And this is like a warrior that's pretty strong, right? And doesn't seem like really feared by anything, but his past definitely does scare him. And it made me actually think more about the fact that maybe the reason why Kratos was hiding the full truth, about killing all the gods on Mount Olympus and everything like that from Atreus was because he killed his father. Like, I think we keep forgetting this. It's like, oh crap, yeah, Kratos also killed his father and doesn't have that relationship with his father for multiple reasons, right? Like, his father wasn't the best person around. I mean, Zeus was kind of a dick. But it's really showing that that's probably why he didn't want to tell Atreus, because he doesn't want Atreus to know, like, he wasn't a good son and he doesn't have a relationship with his father. Like, he wants to kind of lead by example. Like, he knows how to have a good relationship with his son and like what goes into a good father-son relationship, but he can't do that because he doesn't have any of that experience himself.
But again, we're seeing it, proof in the pudding right there is if you let these things fester, this is what could potentially happen. So Kratos, stop trying to do this. However, though, there's a little bit of difference here because Atreus has a relationship with Kratos, but Kratos found out that Zeus is his father well late into his life, right?
Yes.
So it's
Yes,
a
that's
little
true.
different.
That's true.
And plus, he already hated all gods anyway. But again, this is something that could happen.
He already said his MO, yeah.
But again, this is something that could happen if he lets this all, kind of not tell Atreus, but he cannot say anything. He is so bewildered by it all.
So when I first saw the vision of, when Atreus was stabbing Modi, right? If you glance, like, it kind of looks like Kratos, like, because it's like this ghostly figure. It kind of looked like Atreus was stabbing Kratos. Mm-hmm. And like at first I was like, wait a second. I was like, oh no, that's Modi. And because you're hearing the dialogue as well, right? But yeah, it's like that could be a foreshadowing of what could come.
I mean, Atreus has already shot Kratos with an arrow, so clearly not going bad. But at the end of this cutscene that we saw, Atreus is the one who has to pick up his bootstraps because Kratos is in a little bit of a lull after seeing Zeus. And the boat crashes to the bridge. They have to crash land and jump basically into this new area that is conveniently the chamber of Odin. It's one of Odin's many chambers, Mimir says, and you can unlock a bunch of treasures here, but more importantly, we see a tapestry.
What are those runes in the corners?
Not runes. Symbols from different lands. They mean...
War.
Aye.
How do you...
This one I know too well.
Oh.
His eyes. They are jewels. Like yours.
No doubt signifying the gift of sight the giants granted us. Give me a closer look. Interesting. Very interesting.
What is that?
Secret plans concealed by Tyr so none could access but him, and those few others the giants trusted. And right under Odin's nose, ho ho ho! I did promise I'd get you to Jotunheim.
What do you mean, Head? You said we were out of options.
Don't you see, brother? Odin never gave up hope, and neither should we. He knew there was a clue in here, but we're the ones who found it. These plans are for a key to some chamber Tyr's kept hidden. I don't know where it's leading or what we'll find, but it's a path.
How do we make this key?
I suggest we ask a dwarf.
Oh, so it looks like there's another way to Jotunheim, which is where we're going to go next. One question I have for you before we take a break here, Cam. Tyr is very much ingrained a part of this story, but we know literally not zero, but we know he was a peaceful god, but we know not much about him other than that he's dead. But he has a very main part in this story as a good god against Odin.
I know. It's really interesting because when we learned about Tyr, that he's the Norse god of war, but he was peaceful, it was just like such a contrast to Kratos. So I'm thinking that's probably why he has it's growing out to be like a huge role in this story. I'm hoping we see him, but I don't know.
Me as in Nicholas loves a good old fashioned secret hiding spot in any sort of thing, like Indiana Jones-esque is what I like. This kind of like secret thing that only you can unlock. However, I'm afraid that they found this in Odin's chamber, and Odin's gonna find this.
Well, my thing is Odin doesn't know about this. It's literally in his chamber.
Yes,
literally in his chamber. But he does have many chambers, as Mimir said. So maybe that's why.
Maybe they should have set it on fire, though, because I didn't see them set it on fire after. That might have been a good idea. But like Mimir said, we first have to find a key made by a dwarf. And that's where our next quest heads on autosave with our God of War playthrough. After the break, we'll talk about Atreus and how much of a brat he is. Welcome back to Autosave, and we haven't heard much about Atreus hearing voices from earlier in the game. I don't know if you remember, Atreus said he heard a bunch of voices. Now in this part, when he's in Helheim...
Didn't he say the serpent was talking to him as well? Like the serpent?
And then there were points where he was like, there were mean voices and there were nice voices, and we weren't really sure what that is. He hasn't talked about that in forever. Maybe it was to show that, Kratos is strong or something like that. But in this episode and the chapter in Helheim, he basically says that it wasn't him who was saying this. He didn't remember almost that this was happening. So now I'm starting to think, is there other multiple personalities within him or something?
Yeah, I know. It's giving me that vibe. Does he have is this a mental health thing, and maybe he does hear voices,
or it could be mythical too.
Maybe other personalities.
Yeah.
Or yeah, true. But I mean, because that was the thing with chapter 11. How Atreus was acting was very not in the mindset or in the history, the pattern that we've seen Atreus act before. So with him saying he doesn't remember saying this, it kind of aligns with that odd behavior he was giving. So maybe there is some powers at play here.
Because we have the information from Baldur that he needs one of them for some reason.
Yes. Yeah.
Atreus can also read ancient languages that I know Faye taught him, but he learns them and knows them really well.
And Freya already, we learned so much about Freya, right? So, okay, she already bewitched Mimir.
Yes.
What if she bewitched Atreus in a way?
Ooh, you think so?
Yeah.
You think maybe that's why he shot Kratos? Because Freya was controlling him or something like that?
Freya was like, oh yeah, no, shoot. She was just behind in her house. No, Atreus, just shoot Kratos because Baldur needs to live kind of thing. Even though he's immortal and he won't really die or anything like that.
My whole thing is that I thought that Atreus might be Tyr reincarnate or something. That he is the new god of war in the Norse mythology.
But they never said Tyr died.
I thought they did.
Did they?
Yes, they did. Mimir had said that when we were on the boat one day. I remember. In one of Tyr's stories.
Okay.
They did say he was dead. So maybe.
Oh, okay.
But that's a stretch, I think. I don't know. That's my only other theory.
But Tyr was also peaceful, so why would he be on a killing spree?
Yeah. I don't know. Lots of questions. We're closing in on the end of the story, but I still feel like we have a lot of questions to be answered, which is why I'm really excited about the end. And I'm excited to go through with everybody.
And we're still being surprised by new information. And it's so late in the game, right? I feel usually you kind of know what's up at this point.
There's a point now where realizing playing through this game made me realize when there was Thor Ragnarok coming out, I'm like, okay, I understand. I think they were setting up for a sequel this whole time because there's always so many things that we can still get to or do that have yet to be done in this one.
You mean God of War Ragnarok?
Yes. What did I say? Did I say
you
Thor?
Said Thor Ragnarok.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So embarrassing. embarrassing.
I love it though. I love it. But my thing is, at the end of these missions, they said we need keys from a dwarf. I think we'll be seeing 2 dwarfs.
I think we will.
We know dwarves.
Whether a blue one or one with long hair, we'll see.
Whether they hate each other or love each other. We'll see.
Some gameplay stuff. We can now lift wind traps and place them closer where we need to go. That's something new that we saw. There is a point, I think, climbing a summit where there's a red troll and a gate behind him. You need to move that wind trap onto closer to the pedestal so that you can get it. There's a lot of treasure, like I said before, to obtain that. Again, it's fine when I enjoy when games, they make us go to the same place, but there are things that we still have to unlock. So that makes it a little bit easier to swallow when we have to go back to the same places. Also some Nornir chests, and we unlock Niflheim.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about that maybe in the next episode or something like that, because I spent a lot of time there. And I'm probably sure that you did not spend any time there because you went straight to the story. Yeah.
Exactly. I wanted to see if we would ride another dragon.
Well, we might. Let's see. Next week's episode, this story is getting so much more exciting. So stay with us next week as we dive into chapter 13 and 14 on AutoSave.